What's cracking, YouTube? This is BBSP. I want to make a video on this topic discussion involving the Brooklyn Nets. Saturday, the Lakers pull off the shocking upset, and a lot of people didn't expect the Lakers to win that game. To be honest, they shouldn't have won that game when you think about it. Because there was no LeBron and AD for one. I don't know who missed that game Saturday. Was it Cal Kuzma and Wesley Matthews? Were they out? Somebody has to let me know what happened. But I do know this. This is more of an indictment on the Brooklyn Nets than it is what the Lakers did. You understand? Because even with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, they should have won that game. They should have won. They should have won that game. To be honest with you, man, you got the two best players on the court, and there's no excuse to lose to a bunch of bench players. You understand what I mean? But that's more of a diamond on coaching, scheme, and more importantly, Steve. Now I'm gonna touch on that a little bit later in this video. But first thing I want to do is Kyrie Irving, man. I swear, this dude is all over the place, man. Saturday he has a subpar game. He's getting torched on defense by Dennis Schroeder. He's letting Schroeder give him buckets. He's not playing well. And then Saturday, I see he gets ejected. I turn on the game. I didn't watch the first game because I was out and about, but I've seen the second half, like the beginning, and where this confrontation, this altercation between him and Dennis Schroeder, and I didn't understand. I didn't get what happened. I mean, all of a sudden, I'm looking up, and him and Kyrie and Schroeder are getting into it. Kyrie and Shooter are getting into it. I'm like, okay, like, what's this about? And all of a sudden, I see him getting in his face from the replays, and they're over there, wolfing, barking at each other, you know what I mean? And I didn't understand, like, okay, what's going on here? And then both of them got ultimately ejected. Now, here's the thing. The ejection was BS to me, in my opinion, man. You got two guys wolfing on the court. I understand you want to quail down on the pending violence in the NBA, pending altercation in the NBA that may result in fisticuffs, but at the same time, man, like, it's kind of both. The ejection was bogus to me, man. Because I've heard and seen worse that merit ejections. That in particular didn't merit no kind of ejection. Not at all. I mean, now when they say this area is kind of soft, I agree with this prospect. People trash talk on the court every day. They trash talk on whether it's recreation ball, street ball, college, high school, college, NBA. People trash talk. I mean, though not as long as the fist are flying. I mean, they should let that shit go. They should let that shit go. But like that's neither here and there. I'm getting off topic a little bit. I just want to reflect on that. But from what Kyrie said, his gripe is that his shooter said the N-word to him. Now, Kyrie is all over the goddamn place, man. I mean, ever since he's so-called fake woke, he's been trying to sell himself as this pro-black type athlete, taking a cue from LeBron a little bit. But I'm not buying it, man. I'm sorry. I'm not buying it. I mean, I know Kyrie means well in some aspects, but in other aspects, I just find it real funny that all of a sudden he's this woke type dude. You know what I mean? I'm not buying it, man. You remember, this is the same dude. This is the same cat that had an all-white girl party on a goddamn boat, like way back in 2016 or something like that. White girl party. Now all of a sudden you're this woke dude to where you just you pro-black everything. This is the same guy that tried to upstage Chris Paul with the whole bubble thing, trying to get some of the players to not, like not go to the bubble, like not have the bubble happen. Basically, he was just trying to usurp Chris Paul's authority within the Players Association. Now, here's the thing. Kyrie seems like a real bitter dude, man, a real envious dude. I think some aspects of Kyrie is envious of LeBron James, his position in the league. He's the face of the league. And from what I'm hearing, he wants Chris Paul. He was trying to strive for Chris Paul's position as the Players Association president. But, it just. And now, from what I understand, he's going to might miss games because he needs a personal for personal reasons. I don't. This guy, he's got more paid vacations than just a normal everyday worker, man. Everybody goes to 9 and 5, busting their chops, busting their balls, busting their ass, but he's allowed a personal reason, personal day off. Yeah, it just don't add up with Kyrie, man. And ultimately, I see this being an issue down the road, especially right now in the postseason. It may not affect him now, but sometime down the road, I won't be surprised that even in the playoffs, he takes a personal day. And ultimately, it might cost him a series. Like people try to sell this whole thing that, oh, it's a drama-free locker room, no problems in there. But I'm willing to bet that some players are getting sick and tired of Kyrie's Kyrie's stick here. Because, like I said, this is the third time this season he had to take a personal. He's missing games for personal reasons. You don't think that's preferential treatment with that shit? You don't think that's preferential treatment? And it seemed like to me that this situation right here is no different. The situation right here is no different than what Kawhi did last year with the Clippers and their load management. Only thing is, Kyrie is being AWOL. So for me, I just think ultimately this is going to be a huge problem down the road, man. A lot of stuff we don't, it's more access to personal shit as far as social media goes. But then again, a lot of stuff, we don't know behind closed doors. I'm willing to bet that some of those players on that team have a problem with this. And they say to themselves, why the hell this guy gets to just up and leave and miss a few games while we out here busting our ass? Like, come on, man. Like, now, this whole thing with Kyrie going through problems, going through psychological problems, all that stuff, yeah, you deal with that. But at the same time, man, you're leaving your teammates high and dry. You understand what I'm saying? You understand what I mean? But yeah, Kyrie, something gonna have to give, man. Something gonna have to give. I ultimately think because the way James Harden has galvanized the team, as far as them having to be in a contender, for an NBA championship, I'm willing to bet that if James Harden wasn't on that team, they'd be barely over 500 right now. Because Kyrie is proven to be unreliable, man. Like, when you have to count on him the most, he bails. And I'm willing to bet that in an event that if they don't win the championship this year, or at least get to the finals, and if these problems are happening again next year, I wouldn't be surprised if, we got a facilitator, James Harden, that can facilitate the offense, get the others involved, dictate the pace of the game, even though James Harden himself has his shortcomings in a postseason. Seems like to me James Harden is a better fit for what the Brooklyn Nets are trying to do. Especially when you got an elite scorer like KD, Kevin Durant, But end of the day, like I said, don't be surprised if this whole thing keeps happening with Kyrie where he takes personal days off. They end up cutting bait with this dude. At this point, I would, because James Harden has proven to be a better commodity for the Brooklyn Nets. Kyrie is the third option anyway. That's how it was going to always be. Anyway, Kyrie's the third option. He'll always be the third option, as long as Kevin Durant and James Harden are on that team. And something got to give, man. Something got to give. I know it's gnawing at the bit at some of these players, man, that this guy can just bail out anytime he feels like it, anytime he feels like he's stressed out. But I'd be feeling a certain type of way if I was a player on that team, outside of James Harden and Kevin Durant, because they're the ones, mostly Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is the main one that vouches for this team, okay? He's the one that wanted all these players on this team, So, end of the day, this is what Kevin Durant asked for. This is the team. But I want to touch more on the Brooklyn Nets. Here's the thing. I don't understand what's all this praise with Steve Nash for. I mean, he's just there, like, as far as everything else, as far as everything goes. He's not an X's and O's coach, and I feel like he's probably the most overrated player in the player. I'm thinking about playing days. He's the most overrated coach in the league, hands down. When I see that game Saturday, right? When I see that game Saturday, he made no kind of adjustments, no kind of X's and O's adjustments at all. At all. I mean, I'm looking at that game and like they see Andre Drummond is killing them out here down low. You're not gonna make no kind of adjustments at all. You're not gonna make no kind of adjustments to adjust to what the Lakers are doing at all. I mean, I don't understand, man. I don't understand. Like, how how in the hell did Steve Nash get this job in the first place? Like, Kenny Atkinson last year didn't do such a bad job in my opinion. Far from what I see, the only thing that crippled them last year was injuries. You put at least, if Kyrie Irving is at least invested in that team last year, they get into the playoffs as an 8 seed. At least. But like I said, Steve Nash seems to be a player's coach. He seems to be a guy that is in over his head. Steve Nash is just a guy that's just there for along for the ride. And to me, like, I don't understand how he merits to be a head coach of the league. As far as like X's and O's and making adjustments, he's at the bottom. He's straight up at the bottom, man. Like, and I don't get it. Like, but like I said before, this is what Kevin Durant vouched for. This is what Kevin Durant vouched for. But I don't know, man. Like, to me, because of his inexperience and because of his lack of adjustments in game, I was under the impression. I'm kind of in limbo right now with this team, man. Some days they can look unstoppable offensively, but defensively they leave a lot to be desired. To the point where I don't know. Offensively, you can't match up with them, but defensively, there's an answer for him. Andre Drummond proved that Saturday. Proved that the other day. I can only imagine what a guy like Joel Embiid or possibly Giannis or another Bam Adebayo with the Heat. Even Bam Adebayo put 40 on him earlier this year. Earlier this year, Bam Adebayo went off on him in 2 games, even though Miami Heat lost those games. So Brooklyn Nets better hope they get a matchup, let's say they match it with a team like the Atlanta Hawks or the Indiana Pacers, low key. They better make sure they don't have to play both Miami Heat or Philadelphia 76ers or possibly Milwaukee Bucks, low key. But here's the thing with Milwaukee, though. Seemed like they took a step back last year. Last year's Milwaukee team would have beaten this year's Brooklyn team, but because I'm not really sold on Drew Holiday being that much better than, let's say, George Hill or Wesley Matthews. You understand? But I don't know. Something about Milwaukee about them that has fallen off with them. They're not the same team they were having the past 2 years, and that might be a 6-game series for Brooklyn, but ultimately I see Brooklyn just eking it out just a tad, just a little bit. Now, when it comes to the Miami Heat and the Philadelphia 76ers, who bring more of a physicality to the game, you understand? They bring more of a physicality in the game, and they've proven they can hurt you inside, And if they have to play both Miami Heat and Philadelphia 76ers, I don't think Brooklyn comes out of the Eastern Conference. I know people are putting them in they're like putting them in, and it's a lot with a lot of people. But after what I saw Saturday, I'm not so sure. Because inside, Embiid might put up Wilt Chamberlain numbers. Embiid might put up Wilt Chamberlain numbers, So he might average like over 35 a game. You're playing Joel Embiid, and Bam Adebayo might average close to 30 if they have to play the Miami Heat. So they better hope somehow, some way, Miami Heat and Philadelphia 76ers play each other. And the only tough out they possibly may have, and they may win a series, is with the Milwaukee Bucks, because Giannis plays a different game. He's more perimeter oriented, He's more athletic than guys like Bam and guys like Joel Embiid, so that might play into what the Brooklyn Nets' strengths are. But like I said again, Steve Nash is only proven to be the most overrated head coach in the league, hands down, man. And in the event that the Brooklyn Nets don't win the championship, or worst case scenario, even make the finals, look no further than that Achilles heel right there. But tell me what y'all think.